Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to AVX Live. I'm Joe Gilderson, President of Corporate Audio Visual Services, and I'm very happy to be back. We took a little break for the holidays, but here we are, ready to go back again. Hopefully everyone had some time to spend with family and friends. I know that I had a great time. Got to see family, also got to spend a few days with my daughter, just daddy and daughter, and it was all good. I think she still likes me a little. Today is episode 98, and we have an amazing guest. And it's even better because my co-host Ryan Finch is not here to interrupt. Actually, I have no idea where Ryan is today, but he is off. He's left me to once again do all of the heavy lifting. No real surprise, but I'm counting on our guest to carry me through. So before we get to who we're going to be talking with today, let's just remind everybody, I'm going to tell you how we can connect on another show. You can find us every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Of course, we're on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And while you're there, make sure, there's a little comment section. Feel free to drop a comment. That's always fun. I can say whatever comes to my mind once I see those comments, and that's usually pretty interesting. While you're there, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. And if for whatever reason you miss the show entirely while it's live, you can go to YouTube. All of the shows are there. And then we usually have some short clips that are put together. They're going to be on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So whatever works, you can find us. We're like everywhere. It's amazing. But let me tell you a little bit about our guest. And this is kind of the fun part. I mean, to be very honest. So today, our guest is Hillary Millman of In Better Words. Hillary is a marketing and communications consultant who works with executives and business owners to ensure effective communication with their stakeholders, both internal and external. She's also the executive director of the Association of Development Officers, which is a membership organization that helps nonprofit professionals, board members, and volunteers build fundraising skills, share knowledge, and collaborate. Prior to launching her business in 2012, Hillary was the director of communications for the Business Council of Westchester for 6 years. She marketed the organization and managed communications with members. During that time, she was also an adjunct instructor at the College of Westchester in White Plains, where she taught business, marketing, and public speaking and earned several teaching awards. No real surprise there. In 2019, Hillary was named a 40 under 40 rising star by the BCW and currently serves as the organization's Education Foundation Board and as a membership ambassador. She's the former president of the board of directors, ADO, and a graduate of the 2011 Leadership Westchester program. She has a Master of Science from Pace University and a Bachelor of Arts from SUNY Oswego. I don't even know that I could say Oswego, but either way, we're going to bring Hillary to stage. Hillary, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, Joe. It's Oswego. I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Oswego. I should have known that, but I didn't.
But you didn't. Now you do.
No. Now I
and
do.
I made my very best lifelong friend at SUNY Oswego. So it's an important part of the bio.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool. What did you think of that picture from 2011?
Yeah. So after this interview is over, we're going to have a little chat about you going through the internet archives to hunt up all of these photos of me. Number one, I didn't approve the photo collage, and I did not consent to being on the show without Ryan. I mean,
listen, I try not to give you all of the information.
Yes, clearly.
But I think it worked out. I mean, this was a pretty great photo. I mean, can we just come back to it one more time?
Yeah.
That was a pretty great photo.
And Leadership Westchester was an unbelievable experience. So there's a couple of things that I heard and learned there that I have used all through my career since. So
I mean,
I didn't know the photo. I'm grateful for the experience.
I didn't know that you were a professor as well. I mean,
adjunct instructor. I think professor might be a promotion that I didn't earn. But yeah, I finished my master's degree while I was working at the Business Council, and that opened up the opportunity to teach. So that was a lot of fun, and actually gave me a lot more confidence public speaking, because I was up in front of like once or twice a week. So
that's actually really cool. You know, every time I think I know something, I tell my kids that they have to call me professor.
Does that work out?
It doesn't seem to stick, but you know, I keep trying. I mean, if I gave them a Band-Aid, I'd say they got to call me doctor. So it doesn't really matter, but I don't know. So I guess we'll just, we'll move this thing along and get started, but why don't you tell everybody about your company in better words, and kind of give us an idea why you started your own business.
So I have been in business for, now I'm trying to do some quick math, which is always unfortunate, I think it'll be 12 years this spring. And I work with both nonprofit organizations and small businesses. And really, it's about using marketing or communications to create opportunities or take advantage of opportunities or solve problems. That's the most simple way I can explain it. So for nonprofits, strategy and execution of marketing material, helping with their fundraising, supporting their legislative advocacy efforts, but also employee engagement, helping them to what extent I can with defining kind of culture to help them hire. Sometimes I try to teach, writing or messaging skills to employees in workshops, things like that. And for my business clients, it's the same. A lot of marketing materials, again, position their organization as a great place to work, things like that. Anything where communication can help. In terms of why I started, I never really have had an answer to that question. I just, people were asking me if I could help them with things. So I would meet them through, my job, and they would say, oh, I have this other challenge. Could you help me with it? And I started doing so much marketing side work that I thought, oh, I wonder if I could make a career out of this. And I just kind of jumped. I will say, though, that my dad has been self-employed and entrepreneur for most of my life. So probably I didn't ever think I had that dream, or know I did, but I'm guessing that was a little bit contagious. So, and I didn't have, when I decided to see if I could do this, that's really what I was doing. Let me see if I can. And all of a sudden it's been 12 years. So I guess I can do it.
I think you figured something out. I mean, I don't know what, but you figured something out. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Especially that it just kind of happened organically, and then you just did it.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that I had great relationships, and the people, who I knew and was working with, back at that time, in 2012, that I knew through the Business Council and my friends have been immensely supportive. And many of my clients have been my clients since back then for, 8, 10, 12 years. I don't have much turnover, and I work as a sole proprietor. So I'm not constantly, I do add new clients for projects and things, but I've had a core stable set of clients for a really long time. I'm very lucky.
No, that's amazing. And I know the reasons why. So, but that's pretty impressive. Anytime you can keep people for that long and work with the same people, and because then you really have a very in-depth knowledge of what they're trying to accomplish. And
Yes.
I think that says a lot about you. So that's great.
Yeah. And it's great because I don't go to an office every day. So I don't have that kind of camaraderie, which I do miss about working in an office. But because I've worked with some of, my clients and their staff for so long, I have that anyway. So sometimes I'll invite myself, I'll bring my laptop and invite myself to spend an entire day in someone's office after a meeting. And, I'll pretend that I'm part of the team.
Nice. Well, you just show up places. I mean,
Yeah.
what are they going to do? They're going to throw
Nobody
you out.
turns me away. Yeah. If I need to bribe my way in, I'll bring snacks or something.
That's pretty good. How did you decide to do so much work with nonprofits in that community?
That's an interesting question. I think that I just was naturally drawn to what I care about. I've always cared about social service causes and education and things like that. And I think that when I was networking, so after I left the business council as an employee, I became a member and have been ever since. And that's really where all of my work has come from. And I think that when I was speaking to someone involved with a nonprofit, that those conversations were always the most interesting and engaging to me, and probably where then I showed the most passion in return. Right. And that work just came organically. I never really went out and said I specifically am looking to work with nonprofits, but I was enthusiastic and I care. And I always have, I'm going to say ideas, but maybe they're opinions about how they can reach more people and why all of us should be involved with nonprofits. So that was also, I think, pretty organic. But now I'll say, in hindsight and looking forward, when people ask me who I work with or who, it's always like nice people doing good and important work. And you can find that in for-profit too. And that my for-profit clients all give back and they're amazing people. But that's what I love about the nonprofit work. So.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. And, I know that long time ago, we decided on our side that we wanted to be involved more in the community. And, the business council was a big part of that, as well as nonprofits in general. And we knew it was kind of an underserved area and they could use a lot of technical advice. So it became kind of that was intentional on our part, but like you said about trying to work with people that, you enjoy working with and being around, that became much more intentional during COVID. When we came back afterwards, we're like, you know what? There is no reason to work with people we don't like anymore.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I think a lot of people felt, were re-examining the way they were spending their time after COVID, for sure. Yeah.
And I'm sure that's why I dropped out of a lot of people's lives too. They did not want to spend their time with me.
People watching this right now going, I haven't heard from Joe since 2019. I wonder what that's about. Yeah. And I think there's this sense of satisfaction, always when you help someone accomplish something. But when it's for a nonprofit, if, just an example, if they have a service or, program that's underutilized, and you come up with a way to get more people in the community to use that service or know about it, and it's a relief for people in the community to have access to that, you just feel so good. It's such like it's so rewarding. So I think that's why.
No, that makes complete sense. And you really have a comment already. I mean, I haven't seen a comment in months, but oh yeah. One Marissa Madonia says, I think you're also an incredible storyteller. Except she then cleared up her grammatical error and wrote storyteller as one word. Is that correct?
I usually see it as one word. Yeah. I have a number of people who refuse to text me because they're worried that I'm going to be critiquing the way they write things. So I appreciate Marissa's prompt response to correcting her comment if it was wrong the first time. So,
I mean, I think you are definitely the grammar police. I don't think there's any question about that.
When my nieces, who are 16, I have twin 16-year-old nieces. One of them you can see behind me over here. When they text me, if they use like the letter U or the number 2 instead of writing out the word, I just write back. They want something. I just write back that I can't understand what they're asking me, until I get a complete sentence, which annoys them, which makes me happy. So it's good.
So it's a win for everybody, is what you're saying.
It's a win for everyone. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
That does sound up your alley. So, you mentioned texting and maybe some of the clients being afraid to do that. I mean, because you don't really think of writing necessarily as technology until you get into the marketing side of it. So how have you gone about using technology in your business since you started? I mean, it's probably a little different now. So
it's different now. I was thinking about early, it's hard to even think about before the pandemic. I kind of don't remember. And I'd say for me before that, it was really very basic, a computer to function, a smartphone, quite frankly, mostly relied on you at corporate AV to, when there was a need for technology. But as Marissa pointed out about storytelling, for me, that's where technology comes into play and did even before the pandemic, is opportunities to engage a wider audience than maybe you'd be able to have in front of you. Or like if you have a very big crowded room, technology is the way to make every person in that room feel connected to the story, one another, things like that. So I'd say before the pandemic, it was pretty basic. And I've always felt that technology, things like the smartphone, are a little bit of a double-edged sword, admittedly.
Well, I don't think there's any way to disagree with that, to be quite honest. I mean, you can just tell by how uninvolved and, disengaged people are. Even just if you're sitting in a restaurant and you look at another table, you can kind of see it pretty quick. So
it's really amazing. I kind of always make a habit of looking around when I'm at a restaurant to see like who's on the phone and things like that. And when I'm out, I try to pay attention, am I putting my phone away in my handbag or am I leaving it on the table? It's just, and that even might also be like a post-pandemic thing, like trying to be more present. But there's no denying that it's an incredible tool, obviously, the connectedness.
It's hard to imagine a day like working without it.
Yes. And one of the challenges is when everyone knows that you saw their message immediately, what is the obligation to then reply immediately? So, you can't, you could say I didn't see your email, but you saw the text message. So there's that. And I've noticed that some people are putting in their email signatures now a note that their working hours might be different than yours. So if they send you an email at 10 p.m. or at 7 a.m. or on a weekend, don't feel any pressure to reply. So I thought that was an interesting thing that I've seen. And I appreciate it because I'm a person who, if someone emails me on a Saturday, I might say to myself, this could wait till Monday. But then an hour later, I'm like, no, I'll just reply now to get it out of the way. So it's nice, I think, when people say I'm working, but that doesn't mean you have it.
I got it. I haven't seen that, but that's actually really interesting. And it makes total sense with the way everybody's schedules are right now.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So now that was prior to COVID, but now some things have certainly changed since then, right? And I would imagine that two little letters have come up in your universe a lot lately, which is maybe the A and the I.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
How does that work for you? How do you plan to use AI or not use AI? Or I don't know. How does it work for you?
So I, at the encouragement of another marketing colleague, I decided to check it out, and I kind of love it. I mean, again, I'm very wary. I have some concerns, but on the positive side first, there are a few things. I know, I hear from people all the time when they are trying to start writing something or start a project that they just don't know how to get started. And so I think that AI, in terms of helping people come up with a message or an idea, is a great tool. I mean, if you're specific enough, you can ask ChatGPT anything and get some great ideas. this is my personal caution, is not to go to AI for content, but to go to AI for ideas and to be steered in a certain direction. And what I love about ChatGPT is that even if it doesn't know the answer, it will steer you in the right direction. So it will say, for instance, as of this date, I don't have this answer, but here are 5 ways you could probably get the answer. And that, I think, there's incredible value, because it's kind of teaching you how to still do the research on your own. Because my fear about things like ChatGPT is that it's going to start thinking for us, like take away the need for us to think critically. If I am working on behalf of a client and thinking, my job is always to think about your audience. So what are the people who are paying attention to corporate AV? What do they need to hear in order to take some action? So if you want them to email you, you want them to watch a video, what does your audience need to hear or see or feel in order to do that? It's my job to think of that. I'm the marketer. That's my job, the messaging, the strategy. So AI can do some of that, for us. Like, I can ask AI about those things. What should I say? What are people thinking about? But I don't want to lose my ability to come up with those things, on my own. And certainly for young people who are coming out of high school or college, they should be doing their critical thinking on their own, not relying on ChatGPT to do it for them. I will say it has some great uses, for things where you are looking for better and more engaging subject lines for your email blast, something that everyone knows we should do. I don't feel necessarily like you need to be paying someone to do that for you. That's a great thing. We just also want to make sure that we're preserving our individuality, because I don't know, if you ask for subject line, how many other people may have gotten that same suggestion. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely evolving by the moment. We've used it in a couple of different ways over the last maybe few months. And, like you, we were running a training program, and I said, I'm really curious, like we got to work on an agenda and get this together, and let me see what this thing would tell me, and I plugged in, and it gave me some helpful ideas in seconds. And I was like, I wouldn't have considered that. And we tried a couple of the little pieces. We wrote our own, but we used some guidelines from it. And we did try, like in this particular thing, it suggested icebreakers, which I'm not really a big icebreaker person. But I said, you know what, that actually fits this particular group. It feels good. So we did it. It worked out. It's actually really fun.
It's great.
And that came from, just that quick.
Yeah, from the quick inquiry.
Yeah.
I think it has a lot of potential uses. I mean, you can, hobby related, cooking, recipes, there's all sorts of things. Another place for me that I think it can be useful is when I am working with a client, I learn everything I can. I have to learn everything I can about, their industry or their area of impact. It's a lot, and it can take a lot of time, and you can Google things, but the information you get from AI is delivered differently. So one thing I've experienced is I can talk to AI instead of kind of interviewing a client for an hour and a half about a particular aspect of their work. I can ask AI and get all of that same information, like you just said, in seconds. And it can help me, I still will talk to my client, ask them a few more particular details, but it lets me go into that interview more prepared and more educated. So I appreciate that.
Well, I mean, if it's in the interest of saving time and making, that time with your client more valuable and more useful, I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. That's a great tip and a great idea.
Yes.
Now, while this is slightly off topic, I know that you're also the executive director of ADO.
Yes.
What the hell is ADO? And how did you get involved how does a marketing and, consultant get involved with ADO? Like, how did that happen?
So ADO is the Association of Development Officers, which we are a membership, a 501c3 membership organization for other nonprofits. Primarily, we do have for-profit members. So our membership is made up of development professionals, people who raise money, executive directors, other nonprofit staff, volunteers, board members, consultants like me, organizations like Corporate AV, anyone who participates and supports nonprofit fundraising in any way is a part of ADO. Our primary function is hosting educational events to help people who raise money build skills, get inspired with new ideas, share knowledge among themselves. We have some really, really smart people in our community. So, one thing is we bring in experts, topic experts to speak, but we also give our membership a lot of opportunities to share knowledge among themselves and to collaborate with one another. So we meet every month for an educational event. We do some peer stuff online. And then we also, kind of think it's our job to bring attention to the importance and the impact of philanthropy in general. So every year in March, we have a philanthropy awards breakfast where we recognize 5 honorees in different, like a board member, a fundraiser of the year, a philanthropist of the year, a youth in philanthropy, to also just highlight the impact that philanthropy has, reminding, donors and corporate sponsors what a tremendous difference they can make by supporting nonprofits in that way. So I got involved. I believe my colleague Jill Singer of Jill Singer Graphics invited me to an ADO meeting many years ago. I immediately fell in love. The people, the environment, it's so welcoming. Everyone's so smart and so kind. And of course, when you go to something like this and you like it, you end up on the board of directors. That's the way, if you're familiar with the nonprofit, that's what happens. If you're not careful, you end up on the board. And then if you're really not careful, you end up as the president of the board, which is what happened to me. That was my, very good luck to be asked to serve as the board president. That's it. Yeah. And then while I was board president, our executive director, Julie Sutton at the time, decided to move on to pursue a different opportunity, not because of me. I did not, I swear. She likes me. We're friends. So Julie decided to move on, and I shifted over from board to the executive director role about 2.5 years ago now. So.
Wow. That's really cool though.
It's really cool. I love ADO so much.
Well, I know we've been involved for a while, and I mean, there's just so many great people. I do agree with you. I'm surprised you think other people are smart, so that's cool too. but I mean, it is a great group of other humans, to be honest. They're just trying to help the community. They're trying to help each other, and I've always appreciated that.
I have to say, when I am listening to my ADO board members speak, or a panel of people, members, non-members, experts, whatever, I am like continuously. That's one that I always mix up. Really, like, just kind of in awe of how much I still don't know and how just brilliant everyone is. So I think it's really important, all kidding aside, to always be around people who are, either, maybe not, I don't know, smarter than you is the right way to say it, but who are just more experienced, who know more, who look at things differently and have a different perspective, or, different history, so that they can look at things differently. So that's one of the things I really love about ADO, is almost every time there is some reason for all of us to get together, I feel like I learned something still. And I've been there probably for like 8 years, and I still feel that way. So it's great.
No, that's usually a sign of a good group.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be helping each other.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Excellent. Now, once with a member organization, and obviously there were some dark days in 2020 to 21, how did you keep everybody engaged?
So, and I have to credit our previous executive director, Julie, for this. When the pandemic hit, we decided to get everyone on a Zoom every week to our membership. So we have I'd say about 120 organizations that are members, maybe 130. And we just hosted this weekly Zoom meeting that was just open if you wanted to come on and talk or worry or hang out. And everyone took us up on it. So every week we would just get on Zoom for, like an hour or two at lunch and just hang out and stay connected. And I think that very single decision, not to be dramatic, kind of saved ADO because we kept our membership. We kept everyone engaged. Everyone was wondering, as we all were in every industry and in every facet of our lives, what's going to happen next? What are we going to do? And there was just so much comfort, I think, in this very informal get together, and it kept us bonded. So we, soon after we started doing virtual events on Zoom and things like that. But that initial hangout, I think, was the most remarkable thing that we did, the most important thing. Yeah. So, and it helped us, some of us, get to know each other really well, because we just, you get on Zoom and you're just worrying together.
Well, there were some very interesting things that happened during all that. And I think it was so new for everybody. And I mean, there were kind of some intimate relationships that got developed, even though you're looking through this little square. And there are clients that we started working with then that we just became so close that, it's hard to even imagine prior to that. But it was a different experience, but we were all going through it at the same time.
Yes.
Which I think was kind of key to it as well.
And I had a little this is almost like the anti-technology, but I still credit the technology with this. When we were using Zoom so much, someone would say, we've seen each other, on the screen so many times. So we've been able to stay connected, but at some point it doesn't make up for never being able to get together. So I started having some of my ADO meetings or get-togethers outside at FDR State Park over a walk. So I would meet people at FDR in Yorktown, and we'd walk for an hour, and whatever we would have done by Zoom, we did there. That also allowed me to connect with people, more strongly and form more strong relationship than I would have otherwise. But Zoom is really what anchored that, the ability to see people, even though we weren't seeing each other in person. So it was a good, the walks and the Zooms was a good combination.
There you go. The analog and the digital
rolled
in together.
I think it's an important marriage, the most important marriage. Yeah. I think you have to be willing to do both. It's, the same, email is such a great tool, but at some point when you've sent 15 emails back and forth to clarify something, you pick up the phone, so every tool that we have, it's, on one hand, you're all right, you don't have to call me 4 times a day. That could have been a text. Now it's, all right, well, don't send 15 text messages, write it all in one email. Don't send 8 emails, just call real quick. So it's, situational.
Yeah, it is different in each case. But there's also another point that our friend Marissa points out, that it changed the work-life balance.
Oh, yeah.
Which is 100% true.
Yes.
All those corporations are wrestling with that now, trying to get the people back into those buildings,
Yes, I have a client in commercial real estate, so I've kind of watched that unfold and what's important to people who are going back into a building, and that balance. Fortunately for me, most of my very good friends are through work. So I get to kind of do a little bit of both at the same time. This counts as hanging out with you. So
this is hanging out.
This is friend time right now. So we're checking both boxes.
I got it. I wasn't even aware of that,
Yeah. This is checking both boxes. So,
Very cool. Very cool. Well, to be as transparent as possible, I mean, I think I've probably known you for longer than most people I've known in New York. So, pretty sure it's been about 18 years or so.
Yes.
We have known each other a long time. We've worked together in many different capacities, and I think that's pretty amazing. So, all right, I'll give you the checking the both boxes. Oh man.
Talking about tech, since we talked about AI already, there's a lot of conversation about how AI will be used for nonprofits, particularly in grant making and grant applications, because that's a place where there's a lot of language. So, and that's something that I don't feel like I really have the expertise to weigh in on personally. But I did want to mention that an organization that ADO works closely with, Grant Professionals of Lower Hudson, is hosting an event on that topic on December 7th on Zoom at noon. But I think the how we're going to use AI and how we're not going to use it is really, really critical right now, because we could have, employees who are checking it out, and we want to be careful with that. So if we have nonprofit listeners today who are interested in that, it's, AI ethics and grant writing on December 7th through the Grant Professionals, GPLH. So I definitely recommend tuning in. I'm going to tune in and hopefully have more to say on it in the future.
Okay. So that's December 7th, 12 noon, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Very good. Very good. I just dropped that quickly in the comments. And once again, everybody check that out. That's on Zoom. And you said the grant was the grant writers, grant professionals of Lower Hudson.
Lower Hudson. Yes. Yeah. ADO, we partner with them on events, over the years, and they have a lot of expertise in this area and a lot of contacts. So.
Got it. We did have a couple of comments that were very important. I thought we should address. One of them refers back to the walk that I was not invited to. Robbie says maybe we could have a weekly group walk. I mean, these are just suggestions,
I'm down with it.
And of course, I don't know who this character is from Buzz Potential, but he's concerned about Ryan. I mean,
Mike, I had said in the beginning, had I known that Ryan was not going to be here, I probably would have pretended to have COVID. But he is the charming one after all.
He is the charming one. I don't think there's any question about that.
There's no question about that.
No, we have different roles. That's all.
Yeah.
But
no one knows where Ryan is.
It's going to be in a cereal box at some point. Where in the world is Ryan?
A milk carton.
We're sending out an all points bulletin. Now, I've seen you in a variety of different capacities, but a lot lately in like a moderator or as like the host for different events and occasions. And I got to be honest, it seems pretty natural. Do you enjoy that? Do you like that part of being a communicator?
Yes. I am one of those weirdos who loves public speaking.
You are a strange human. So
yeah, I didn't always, like I said, when I started teaching at the College of Westchester, that was a really good opportunity for me to get really used to it. Cause like I said, twice a week I was up in front of a room. And when you have college students, even when they're older college students, they're, you've worked all day, they've worked all day. You don't want to hear yourself talk. They don't want to hear you talk. So if you can engage that audience, you can engage any audience. And I was thinking recently about why I like it. And I think public speaking is kind of marketing. I mean, when you market or you communicate something, or you say anything, you tell a joke, you put something out there and you wait for a response. So you're waiting for someone to RSVP for an event, to sign up for a program, to respond to an email. But when you're doing public speaking, you get that response instantaneously. So, if you're trying to get them to cry about something, no, in a good way, like at a nonprofit event. Come on, these stories we want. We want to see some tears.
I know.
But you can see right away if you're generating emotion, if you're making people laugh, if they're interested, if they're taking notes versus if they're looking at their phone. So I think I just like that kind of live feedback as opposed to having to wait.
I'm sorry. Were you saying something?
Listen, I'm out of here. So I think that's why I like it. It's more of an instantaneous, and it's just fun to connect with people in person that way. And yeah, I like it. Do you like to speak publicly, Joe?
I don't have any problem speaking publicly.
That's not the same thing as if you like it.
I think it depends on the topic.
Mm-hmm.
Many times I feel very comfortable with it and do enjoy it because I like being able to kind of show a little bit of personality with it.
Yes.
But there's other times where, you're a little bit under fire at that point. It's not as fun. So
yeah, I mean, it has to be something you're interested in, something about, or you're enthusiastic about. Like, I wouldn't want to get up to a podium and have someone ask me like how to fix healthcare because no. But if you want me to get up and talk about any reason you should support any nonprofit or get involved in giving back, that's hours. You have to give me a time limit. So
Wow. Very cool. Well, this could be a future career.
It could be.
Could be. Interesting. Really interesting. Hey, I happen to know that ADO has an event coming up.
And how do you know this, Mr. Gilderson? Are you perhaps on the panel?
There might be some public speaking.
Yes. So ADO on December 13th at Sam's of Gedney Way in person will be hosting our final event of the calendar year. And it's a panel about profitable events. So what goes into an event before, during, and after and not only profitable financially, but profitable in terms of the most important thing, which is building relationships that will last with your audience. So we're going to talk about everything from, setting sponsorship levels to getting the right people in the room, because we will also talk about, videos, engaging, storytelling, all of that. But you have to get the people in the room first in order to get them engaged in live fundraising. And then also, a little bit about the follow-up in terms of making sure that this is not a one-hit wonder for part of your audience. So I'm excited about that. And thank you for agreeing to be on the panel. And everyone is welcome at ADO's events. You don't have to be a member. We'd love to have you for a fee.
Very cool. Well, I mean, you're talking about profitable events. I mean, you have to have a fee.
Yes.
Not to get too distracted, but that used to be one of the biggest things we would suggest to people. They'd say, "Oh, well, we're not sure how many people are going to come." We said, "How much are you charging for the ticket?" "Well, it's free." There's your problem.
Yeah.
Charge $10. Charge anything. It doesn't matter. But
and I think you and I have talked about that before. There's this perceived value. And also once you've spent money, if you wake up that day and and it's cold or it's raining or whatever, if it was free, you're saying, you know what, I'm going to work in my home office today with the dog. I'm not going. Yep. But if you paid, it gives you that little extra push to actually get out and go. Yeah.
You're 100% right. Well, it's going to be a great event. 13, Sam's of Gedney Way. It'll be fun stuff. I know we got a great panel, so I'm sure everybody's going to learn a lot.
And I've named the people on the panel, but then I'll forget someone because I didn't have it queued on my screen. So We're not
going to do that.
Yeah. I'm not going to do it. You can see it on the ADO website and then it'll be correct. And I won't embarrass myself.
I think that's a good plan all around, because we don't really want the executive director to be embarrassed.
Listen, I was only board chair in that picture, so it's not the same person. That was Hillary, the board chair.
What about this person?
Yeah, she was executive director, I think.
All right. Okay. All right. Luckily, I had these graphics queued up.
Never forgive you. We're never walking at FDR.
I mean, remember this one? Just saying. Okay. Anyways, well, listen, speaking of walking in FDR, which I was not invited to, Robbie, thank you for bringing that up again. What do you like to do when you're not working, when you're not helping everyone at ADO, and when you're not writing and helping all of your 12-year-old clients to accomplish their goals? What about yourself? What do you like to do for fun?
I like to be outside. So walking, hiking, gardening. I even kind of like yard work again. I like yard work and public speaking. It's weird. It's like a weird set of things.
That's awesome.
Yeah, even if I'm just sitting outside on the stoop with the dog drinking coffee, I like to be outside. I spend a lot of time with my family. My sister, my nieces, my nephew are all up here, and my parents, I'm up in Dutchess County. My parents actually moved up here recently. So speaking of another double-edged sword, family that all lives within 12 minutes. I kept telling my parents, I thought you were going to move 20 minutes away, not 12. Like I didn't sign off. And I do some volunteer work here and there. And I realized I was remiss in my bio, and this is like marketing 101. So I did not mention I'm also on the board of trustees of the YMCA of Central and Northern Westchester.
Oh.
So another organization I feel very strongly about. Also, because of how I feel about access to early childcare. So also some volunteer work and board service and things like that.
That's very nice. I mean, you're doing good in the community.
I try.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I try. I have to. Yeah, I try.
I mean, that's to make up for all that sharp wit.
That's what I was
going
to
to
say,
have,
but I decided not to, and then I figured you'd say it for me.
Well, I mean, you left it hanging there for me.
I know I did. Yeah. I mean, this is what happens when you're live.
And that's why I like live.
Yeah, I mean, it's been almost 45 minutes. I haven't uttered a single 4-letter word.
No.
I haven't made any inappropriate jokes. This is like monumental.
You know, usually Finch is here to kind of keep me on good behavior, but I knew today my job was to keep you on good behaviors.
Yeah.
But no, this and you know, everybody in the chat, our friend Mike Dordano has actually listed all the members for the panelists for that date of December 13th. So they're all right there. You can see that in the chat. I think it's on the Facebook side.
That's awesome. Yeah, Mike takes pictures for ADO, so he's part of the ADO success team as his corporate AV.
Well, we're honored to be a part. Everybody's really amazing.
Can't do it without you. So.
Well, Hillary, you've reached your time. I mean, I know now that I have to get you off the public speaking stage, which if I had known that, I probably would have done this about 10 minutes ago. But, you know, either way. But listen, you've been great. I really appreciate the time you've taken today. ADO is doing fantastic work. Your own business in better words. We've used your services and you've always done excellent work. So I am sure that you will continue to prosper and be successful there.
Thank you.
Well, Hillary, you're going off screen. Remember I told you about the backstage thing?
I got it.
And goodbye. See how easy that was? I mean, they give me these buttons. Ryan usually has all the fun, but today I'm in charge of stuff. So if something funny goes wrong, he'll just make fun of me later. But we had an absolute pleasure with Hillary Millman today. I actually feel a little bit smarter, so I appreciate that. Thank you, Hillary. I didn't know I was going to be talking to an adjunct instructor. I think that's what we called it. I'm just going to call it professor. But either way, thank you very much for your time. We look forward to seeing everybody at that panel on December 13th. It's a luncheon. Sam's getting away. They have the best food. They're pretty amazing. So you should go there. Come in person. Maybe we'll go for a group walk afterwards. I'm just going to put it out there. I feel like I was slighted. But either way, let's continue this. Everybody, listen, thank you very much. We're going to wrap up. We're going to see you next Wednesday, 1 p.m. You can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Drop us a comment, be a part of the show. You can see some amazing comments have already come up. Hit the like and subscribe button. You know what to do. YouTube channel's got everything. And afterwards, I think Alexis is going to put some very special comments and words of wisdom from Hillary on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And that is about all I got. I just can't talk this much anymore. So we're going to wrap this up. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Have a great week. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.